Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I am Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. So yeah, welcome to my knitting podcast, knitting talk show, what have you. If you're a new viewer, this is basically where I sit and talk about knitting for about an hour every week-ish. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I have been to Oslo. So that is probably what the biggest bulk of this episode is going to be about. I just want to preface this episode with I'm tired. I'm really tired. I really just put off recording a little bit this morning just because I'm tired. I was hoping energy would find me or something, and I'm not even home alone, so that's probably going to be disruptive. There's noise outside. I'm just gonna keep it down to a level that I can maintain throughout recording, so it's just gonna be one of those, a bit slower, a bit slower, not sure. So yeah, I'm just gonna do the best that I can because it's better to have one up sooner than better. No, that's what I'm doing anyway. So I just want to start off by listing the usual knit-alongs. I am running the year-long knit-along of 2019, where we aim to make 6 pairs of colorwork mittens for the duration of 2019. It is not too late to join as long as the mittens are made this year and finished this year. And there is the Kosekofte Cal, which is probably also going to run until the end of the year, which is making my Kosekofte pattern, which I actually saw quite a few of in Oslo Knitting Festival, which was amazing. That was so much fun. And I am just about to expand to a third knit-along that will also run until the end of the year, and then I think for another 2 months, so till the end of February, I think. Wow, maybe until January. I'll touch base on that one. It's the Selbu Mitten Club. At last. So I'm gonna just explain this, assuming you haven't heard of any of this stuff, because some will and some will not have. So yeah, I started a Selbu Mitten Club in the autumn of 2017. I released it in the 1st of August and it was quite popular. I didn't expect it. It was really fun, and it's become kind of one of those cornerstones of what I do as Skeindeer. And I did it again the following year, and the following year I just kind of did it again because it was so much fun and I could not do it, and I wasn't really having huge expectations, but you guys blew it out of the park. There was so much enthusiasm around it. I had so much fun, so it is happening again. I'm taking it in a sort of same but different direction this time around. It's very much kind of a back to basics kind of thing, so throughout the club I've tried to throw in different things and different features and weights of yarn and colors and dyers and stuff and things like that. And this time around I wanted to work with just the purest of wools and colors, i.e. none, and just, you know, ribbed cuffs with stripes, really just original Selbu mittens, you know, the way that they are when you think about them. So they're all in kind of either natural wool or black and white dyed. You can use whatever colors you want, but that's kind of what I've done. That's kind of the aesthetic I'm going with. I had the opportunity as well to photograph the mittens at the Folk Museum in Norway, so really just going in that direction with this one. So it's going to be a very traditional, very ultra Selbu Norwegian kind of thing. So that is available in my Ravelry shop right now. I'm gonna put temporary discount code information down here because I haven't thought it through whilst recording, because I wanted to record sooner rather than later. So that's going to be explained here, whether you know how to apply codes and what they will mean and etc. But yeah, so the way it works, what is this club? What is Ellie talking about? What is this nonsense? I sell a collection, an ebook if you will, on Ravelry, and it will look fairly empty when you go there. It will have one mitten pair in it. We'll talk about those in a bit. But if you buy the bundle, the collection, the ebook, what have you, I will add a pattern every month. So this is the September mittens. There will be October mittens, November mittens, December mittens, and January mittens. So that's a slight difference from previous years. Previous years I used to have August mittens, September mittens, and last would be December mittens, but we're skewing it 1 month, so the last pair of mittens will be for January. And I think that's a good thing, because I am gonna kind of mimic the sort of yarn weight stepping thing that I did last year, because it worked out really well and I really enjoyed it. It was variety for me as well. So we're kicking things off with a Aran to chunky weight mitten, and the next two will be DK to worsted weight, and then it will be kind of a pair of sport to fingering weight, and then it will lastly be another pair of sport to fingering weight, but in a much denser gauge that is arguably just fingering weight. So that's kind of what we're doing. So the really densely knit mittens with the most amount of stitches will be for January, when you probably have a bit more time because Christmas is over. But that's far away, but it's a long time frame thing for this whole knit along. So yeah, it's a knit along and it's a collection, so taking part is essentially the same as buying any other collection on Ravelry. There isn't anything else to it. I keep you up to date by sending out updates, which will be sent to, you know, Ravelry inboxes and emails and such. I think I have explained everything. I feel like I have. So let's talk about the first mitten design. So let's talk about the design from last year, was the Speedy Selbu mittens. The reason I put those in there, they were kind of just like a bonus pattern, and this is kind of too. So because last year when I launched the very first club, I had 4 new patterns in there, but I already had the Selbu mitten pattern in my Ravelry store. So I thought, well, if I have to put something in a bundle in order to be able to sell the bundle before the actual mystery patterns come out, I just put that in there. Obviously I sent out discounts to people who already bought the pattern so that they wouldn't have to buy twice. That's not interesting now. I'm just saying. And then when it came to the second mitten club, I couldn't put the same pattern in there again, but I also wanted to keep the mysterious secret mittens still mysterious and secret, so I came up with the Speedy Selbu mitten. So they have a similar aesthetic to the first Selbu mittens, they just were quicker, and I didn't think much of it. It was just kind of like a bonus to get things started. It wasn't meant to be the mittens of the club, but they kind of became that, and it was really fun. Oh god, I got so many emails of people who wanted to buy them outside the club, and I'm like, I have promised to keep them exclusive to the club. I can't be just selling them outside of it when people have bought the club to get those mittens. So that will still be the case. These will be exclusive to the club, so only club members will get it. Club members basically being everyone who bought the collection. So I am so disorganized. I'm hoping this is clear. I will also write it out in clarity on Ravelry. So there. And on Instagram when I post about it. So because I really enjoyed making the Speedy Selbu mittens, and you guys seem to really enjoy them, I thought, okay, we'll do another Speedy Selbu mitten, but obviously a different design because, yeah. I've come up with Speedy Spinneri. Do you remember Spinneri? Yeah, I just call them that because they kind of resembled Spinneri in a way, but they are very speedy. I'm using Aran to chunky weight yarn. We don't use yarn weights in Norway, so that's kind of why I'm kind of giving you a general gist of the yarn weight. And they look like this. So this is Speedy Spinneri. They are quick. Goodness me, are they quick. There are hardly any stitches here. I mean, like, but they are mittens. So this is, you can do this. Now you can see both sides. And as ever, that little detail, that little seamless palm pattern repeating on the back of the thumb. I love that. It's just how it has to be done, you know. And what is exciting about these mittens is that I have gone and done a tutorial. That's right, I caved in. There's the tutorial. It should go up roughly at the same time as this video. If it hasn't come out yet, it will. Maybe I decided to time them a bit apart because that's smart according to YouTube algorithms. But I did a video. It's a tutorial. It's how you do the thumb. Yep, not the mitten itself, but the thumb really does have most of the features of the mitten. Not the increases. Most people really do get those. That I didn't see a big need to do, but the thumbs are essentially mini mittens, right? So they have, you know, decreases that are mirrored. There's the picking up the stitches that I think people may appreciate having a video for. I don't know. Especially like on the size, it's just a pain. I've gone through that in the video, just kind of explained that you kind of just wing it, and if you can't do it right, you just fix it later. Really, that's how it's been done. It's just science. So this is Speedy Spinneri. I really do like them. They fit me really well. The last pair I did, the Speedy Selbu Mittens, I did a size below mine because I used to do 2 sizes. I have now expanded to 4. It's just really a way of explaining how different gauges through different needle sizes lead to different sizes of mittens. So you could still go beyond those 4. It's just to give you a general sense. Yeah. So this time I made my size. I made slightly smaller ones last time, and now I've actually gone all the way and done my own. So they fit really well. I like my mittens kind of big though, I will say. So I tend to make a kind of women's large, men's small kind of thing. I just call them size 3 now. So just measure your hands. I would say most people will probably be happy with a size 2 or 3. But I think if you find that you most of the time find mittens too small, you make the largest size. If you most of the times find mittens are too big, you make the smallest size. And then you can choose between the 2 middle ones if you usually don't have that problem. That's essentially what I would recommend. So, just trial and error if you don't want to swatch. And who wants to swatch really? You know. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Oh, they are nice. I made these in Vams by Rauma. That's their thickest yarn, I think. It is really lovely. I have had a hard time finding Vams outside of Norway, essentially. I think it's easier to get in the States than it is in Europe. But if you don't want to use Vams, there is Fritidsgarn by Sandnes. They also have a thicker yarn in that, I think, Alpha. There is Let Lopi. Let Lopi is finer than this, and it's got a longer staple, so you can get slightly longer mittens if you find that you have longer fingers. There's Alafos Lopi, which is thicker than Let Lopi if you want denser mittens. There's lots of different yarns, so I'm just going to recommend you a bunch. I also really liked working with Weekend Wool by Green Mountain Spinneri that I used last year, and that is, I think, readily available out in the States. So just generally go for a yarn that is similar to this in fiber composition, in meters per grams. Then you should be good to go. So it's not about using this exact same yarn that I did, but if you want to use the same, I used Vams by Rauma. I did actually have a lot of people come up to me in Oslo Knitting Festival, ask me, you know, where's the club? Is there gonna be a club? I want to have a club. Is there, what yarn are you using? I might go buy that now. And I'm like, oh, there will be a club, I promise. And here it is. So I said mystery mittens. This is not mystery knit along as such. It's just that you don't know what patterns are gonna come out. So the patterns do come out in full when they come out, with pictures, with everything. You will know what you're making when they come out. It's just that they will come out on a monthly basis, so you don't know what they're going to be when you buy the bundle. It's kind of like getting a surprise every month. I really enjoy doing these, and I do think, and I know I said this last year, but this year I do think it's true that it probably will be the last Selbu Mitten club by me. That's not to say it will be the last ever club. I just don't see myself doing that many Selbu Mitten clubs because my imagination can only go so far. And whilst you can make lots of different Selbu Mitten clubs, I think within my aesthetic, I have kind of reached peak Selbu now. So this will quite likely be the last Selbu Mitten club, and then for future clubs, I will explore other territory. But I'm really pleased with this club. This is my bread and butter. This is kind of my forte. I know the ins and out of designing these mittens and the aesthetic and what they should look like. If you don't know anything about Selbu mittens, is that they are from a village close to where I'm from. It's a village in Trøndelag, southern Trøndelag, which is not actually called anymore, it's just Trøndelag now. And they're very near and dear to people all over Norway. They have been for years and years. They were invented by a sheep herder, a girl, I think it was, in the 1800s in Selbu. and they are huge there. They are just, yeah. Anyway, I have a lot to talk about in this episode. Like I said, I've been to Oslo. I just got back last night. I've got so much yarn on my bed right now to show you guys. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the club. You can get it on Ravelry. It's kicking off now with the knit along with lots of prizes. It's usually like where I'm at the end of the year, really just handing out all the prizes have ever been donated. So it's, you know, there's usually a lot of winners. And also, if you want to donate prizes, that's still up for that's an option. They don't actually have to come in until January actually, and there will also be prizes for the year-long knit-along and the Costa Cal, so I'm gonna be very busy. And I will also say that you can double dip. You know, you can make these mittens for both the Selbu Mitten Club knit-along and for the year-long knit-along, and 4 of these mitten designs will come out this year, so 4 out of 6 can be club mittens essentially. That is an option. So yeah, Speedy Spinneri first mittens out. They are really quick. You can make the whole thing in an afternoon actually. So I think I used like 6.5mm needles on this, so if that's not an incentive, I don't know what is. So that's, I'm gonna wrap that up now and move on to other topics. So yeah, thank you all for your enthusiasm about this club in previous years and at the festival, and just in general people who have commented on Instagram like, just this is gonna be a club soon. You know what? Thank you for your enthusiasm. Honestly, just that's why it's coming back. Aside from me being slightly obsessed with Selbu mittens, I do love them. So, moving on. I have a finished object that I am wearing that is kind of in desperate need of buttons, because it's supposed to be quite, you know, fitted, and well, that would help if I had it buttoned up. But I haven't sewn in buttons yet because I bound this off at the festival, and whilst I had buttons there to sew on, I decided it would just be a faff because I have to take them off to weigh the cardigan to know how much yarn I use, so I can calculate the yarn use for the other sizes. So it's gonna have buttons next time. Okay. So this is the Haust cardigan that I am designing. I have designed. It is designed. It's just that I'm still working on the pattern, the write-up, the very casual test knit. So it just kind of needs to be finished by testers and sent to my tech editor and photographed, and then it will be a pattern that will come out this autumn, because I called it Haust, and Haust means autumn. So I could have called it Haust, which is the other word for autumn in Norwegian. Haust is just different languages of writing in Norway. It's that letter, you know, the letter that looks like an O with a dash through, the letter. I just, with hashtags and everything, I just wanted to leave that out, so I went with Haust, which has none of those funky letters. So, but you want to see it in full. Sorry, I kicked the tripod. There we have it. Whoop. Haust. Oh yes, Haust. I have paid so much attention to fit on this thing, I can't even tell you. So I've really like gone all the way with like shoulder fit on this. So once it's buttoned up and like pulled in here, it's like sits really well, I think. Try to keep this one, you know, in the joint so that arms can move freely. It is cropped, as you can tell, so it's pretty well on my narrow point here. If you want it longer, literally the space between here and the underarm, you just knit that as long as you please. So it doesn't have to be cropped. There's no shaping involved here actually. I didn't find that was necessary, and it's like a bit difficult to put in shaping in this pattern. So really just knit to the length that you want. Yes. That's Haust upcoming pattern. Just teasing you guys a little bit. It's a satin sleeve design. Has it challenged me? Wow. It's bottom up, and then you do a bit of shaping here, but there's a lot of sticks, and it's just 4 sticks. It's fun. I've got so much good feedback from my test knitters about that, because it's a pattern that kind of just keeps on giving. Like, it's really simple in a sense. It's easy to follow, but there's always something new happening, even though it's a solid color knit, which is not usually what I do. Yeah, there's always something happening, and it's a change in something, a different decrease rate or place in the chart, and there's like the stockinette portion is quite short. Even like the sleeve decreases, they're like rapid enough that you get sort of almost self-striping, gotta keep going kind of thing. So, and sticks are fun, honestly. I used Navia Duo for this, though I will recommend Finull as well, because they're pretty much identical and very easy to cut through with no disasters or anything. I will be linking to the Very Pink Knits stick tutorial, which I will always recommend. It is just good, it's complete. That is the stick tutorial video that will just stick them all, so you don't need any other videos than that one. Just make sure that you choose appropriate yarns that will be stickable. Unless you want to use a sewing machine, then you can use any yarn you want. More on that when I launched the pattern, I think. I just wanted to show you what it looks like now that it's done. So I'm getting up again. Just, you know, it sits really nicely when it's open as well, I think. I run hot a lot, so it's nice to have one I can open and shut as I see fit. So yeah, this is what it's like. It's just nice. I think we will be seeing more cardigans like this from me in the future. Not like I'm gonna copy my own pattern, but you know what I mean. Nice, light, elegant, no, maybe not even colorwork cardigans. There will be colorwork ones as well. Oh my god, I was going through I have like a spreadsheet of patterns I'm planning to get out. And I looked through my Ravelry design page and I was like, I've got 8 garments. How many am I working on? I'm working on 8 garments. So I'm gonna double the amount of garments I have out there. Yeah. I already have 2 finished knitted ones that will just come out whenever. There's this one and another one. We'll talk about that. And there is another one it's gonna be exciting. It's just a lot. Anyway, let's talk about the things. This is the only finished object I have to show, and I have a lot of works in progress. Apologies if anyone can hear any noise outside. It's just my neighborhood being my neighborhood. In this beautiful bag by Lola of Third Volt Yarns here in London, here in East London, I have my little black skirt, which has grown. I didn't work on it that much in Oslo, but I worked on it a lot beforehand. It will look the same to you, but it's pretty much very close to full length right now. It needs to be like maybe 1 or 2 inches longer, which will be a breeze. So the little black skirt is happening. It is just a little black skirt. I'm just like basically making a knitting pattern based on the sort of skirts that I enjoy wearing. I have also made it so that it will have a little opening back here in the folded hem, so that I will be putting in an elastic band here. It's just generally a good thing to do with knitting, because knitting is so elastic. It just kind of opens up, and the risk of it falling down, you don't want that. So whilst the waist sits really well on me, we're gonna put in an elastic, so that'll be nice. And so yeah, just wanted to reassure you it's a thing that's happening. I am hoping to have it photographed with this cardigan, because they just look nice together, and they're both in Navia Duo, because apparently I'm just trying to knit all my Navia Duo out of my stash, which has led to me being given more Navia Duo, which was what I showed you last week. I'm gonna show you again now, because you guys remember this thing, right? Yes, I'm one of those fringe people. Anyway, let's not talk about that. In the fringe bag I have Otra. I've called it Otra because Otra is the river that runs through the Setesdal, the valley of Setesdal means valley. I can't call it the Setesdal Valley, that sounds really, really weird. Because it is obviously very Setesdal inspired. So well done those of you who spotted that on Instagram. I think it was just one person. It is happening, the sleeves are nearly done. So that was what I was working on in Oslo mainly, just getting these sleeves to the final stitch count, and now I'm just going to knit to the length that I want them to be, and then put in some cuffs. That's just how we're rolling. What else is there to say? I mean, I'm going to knit the body now. So yeah, that was Navia Duo as well, thus that segue that wasn't really very clear. What I have left is this. So this belongs to the sleeves, that doesn't really count. This I reckon that would be enough for the body. Whatever I need left for the cuffs, and just lots and lots of rib basically. I want to do a split hem rib, yeah. So that's what's happening, and then I will be sending off that to tech editing, and I will get it photographed, and hopefully that will also be something that you guys can knit on soon. I have got so much good feedback on this thing. Goodness me, I did not. I mean, I love it. I always like try to design stuff that I love, and it's really nice when you guys do as well. So have had a lot of hype around this already, which thank you so much. And in terms of like stickability, it's not that bad. Like, it only has 2 sticks. I've been pretty nice there, you know. I'm debating whether to put in an alternative neckline for people who like them wider, because it's a boat neck and it's like a bit of a small boat neck, and people like big boat necks. If you're interested, let me know in comments below. I think I might. It will mean that I'll have to write new short roll methods for that, but why not? So it's just so cute. It's so darn cute. I don't know what it is. Just want to snuggle up in it. That's like my main inspiration. Speaking of want to snuggle up in, speaking of which, do you know what I just got back? Look at that. Last year snuggle up in. Snuggle up in is a word now. Spray's back. I picked it up at the Bladet Garn booth in Oslo Knitting Festival, because obviously they've had it until now because it's been published with them since last year. And I remember last year I was like binding it off in the car on my way to Berge Knitting Festival and handed it over to Uni, who's one of the editors at the festival, literally right after binding off. So I actually never wore this until the Oslo Knitting Festival, and I just very proud of this one. Okay, it's just so big and just cuddly and comfy. Anyway, just wanted to show you it's back to its owner, to its mama. Now I'll have 2 big cozy cuddly jumpers. There's sort of similar aesthetic happening here. I think I'm kind of narrowing down to my personal style or something like that. I don't know. So that's Isbred, the pattern that's already on Ravelry, in case this is completely new to you. I had it published in a magazine, but now you can also get it on Ravelry individually, as will be the case with the other jumper when I get my act together. So kind of funny, and kind of just like me, I was really just powering through this cardigan before I went to Oslo, because I was like, I'm gonna wear it at the festival, I will be wearing it, we'll be done, it'll be cool. And then I frogged the sleeves because I found them too tight, and I changed them in the pattern and I made them like a bit more comfy. So it took longer, and I was like, I can make it in time, I can, but I can also cast on a new jumper and not finish this other thing, and I ended up not wearing that at the festival at all. But I started another jumper. Some of you will have noticed that I asked around on Instagram about raglans that don't have too wide necklines nor are too deep in the yoke, while still being very size inclusive. And this is really hard, because the way a raglan works is that you increase 8 different stitches. Well, that's terrible. You increase 8 stitches every other round from here to here if it's top down, or, you know, decrease 8 stitches from here to here if it's bottom up. 4 in the front, 4 in the back. So by that logic, a larger size will either have to have a bigger neckline to be able to get to the right stitch count at the appropriate length here, or it will have a, you know, appropriate neckline opening, but we'll need a lot more rows to get to that big stitch count further down. It's just not ideal for larger sizes, and so I was curious to find raglans that have found a way around that. Often you need to just find a balancing point between both neckline opening and yoke length. Can't talk. But other designers have actually found other ways of just, you know, dealing with that. I'm really interested to explore that more. One of those patterns that was suggested to me that I've sort of looked at a little bit before is Blank Canvas by Isolde Teague, and so I started it. I just wanted to do the yoke. I didn't want to do the whole bottom up and everything, so I just did the yoke. Don't give me that look. Rude. I just wanted to do that, okay? So I did. I dug into my very pricey pants Macintosh from last year's Black Friday sale that ended up not really saving me much because of taxes, but still, I put it in here. I also, last night I came home and I ate the last bits of my cheese doodles, which is an amazing Scandinavian snack. So I might just fondly call this my cheese doodle sweater. Don't know. I am really enjoying this fit. So you can see how she has shaped the raglan quite interestingly up here. I just wanted to try that out. Turns out it was very simple, but whatever. And there's a different thing happening down here as well. So it's like sitting somewhere between a raglan, a saddle shoulder, and a satin sleeve. It fascinates me. So my only concern now is that I feel like it's a little bit shallow, which is the opposite problem that I wanted. I was hoping I wouldn't get too deep yoke. I feel like this is a bit too close up on my underarm, so I'm gonna sit down and measure my gauge, because that is something I do after knitting the whole damn thing, or at least the yoke, that actually is watching. It's a bit weird because it looks like I do have gauge. Like, this is a really good shoulder fit for me. Like, if I just try this on like some kind of, don't know, I mean, it's not bad. These little flaps kind of help. This is just where it decreased very rapidly. It gives a bit of extra here, which is kind of, I guess, how she has avoided having that really deep yoke. I think it will be fine. It's the most ridiculous composition of knitwear braids everything I've ever seen. It just, yeah. Okay. I do feel like the sleeves look like they would be very tight, but maybe I'm supposed to cast on a lot of stitches under the arms. I haven't actually looked. They shouldn't be telling you anyway because it's a paid for pattern. But maybe that was all there. I don't know. I like it though, and it's like so bright and happy yellow. It's Lannister gold is the colorway. I always wanted a bright yellow sweater, and it's finally happening in the form of a very simple but well tailored raglan, and I really like that. Look how bright that is. Look how happy that is. So happy. Just gold. Just gold. Am I gonna add it to the Dunder Knits gold? Is it called gold along? I might just, I mean, I'm not going to Rhinebeck. Sad face. One day, maybe next year. I've said that for 3 years now. Anyway, it's gold. It's pretty. It's just like sunflowers and cheese doodles and everything, and I'm just, yes. So really feeling this. Really want to keep on knitting it. I'm gonna have to check my raw gauge to see if I'm wrong, or if it's supposed to be this way, if it's supposed to be this way. I honestly trust Isolde to continue. So also just ignore this really like ugly yarn at the end. It's not ugly. It's Finull. I love Finull, but it's just not a good combination at all. It's just provisional. I didn't explain that. I just made you guys think I just did a yoke just because I'm an idiot, but it's a provisional costume. Okay, it's a provisional costume. So I will make this into a jumper. I just didn't want to do it bottom up. I was very eager to just do the yoke, but the main reason is just that I wanted to do longer sleeves, and it just seemed like a faff to kind of figure out how to do them longer before doing the bit that I'm supposed to cast on at the like 3/4 length. I was just, it's just easier top down, so I just do it this way. It's basically the reason. And I thought I might do a shorter body as well, especially if I run out of yarn for doing longer sleeves. So that's the main reason. It's not as crazy as I made it seem. I'm really loving it. I think I was powering through the Dark Crystal series on Netflix for the second time while knitting this. Second time the same weekend it came out. Yeah, I love this so much. I'm gonna watch it again. I love it so much. If you haven't watched the Dark Crystal series on Netflix, what are you even doing? It's so good. I don't care what you feel about fantasy or puppets. It is so good. I want to do a whole pattern collection of it. Just, it's so good. Basically, like, you start watching, you're like, is this kind of like Fraggle Rock, Sesame Street? I'm not connecting with dolls. I can't. They are the mouth. They just go. I can't. Give it 5 minutes or half an hour, however long you need. Your imagination will just kind of melt into everything, and you will just feel the puppets. their faces will become real faces. It's magic. They come alive. It's so good. Just anyway, we're going to talk about knitting. I don't usually talk about the shows I watch and the music I listen to. I've been thinking of doing that more. Let me know how you feel about that. Obviously, for anyone not interested, that will obviously just be at the end of an episode, so that you're not gonna have to like sit through stuff you don't care about. But it's something I've toyed with. I've toyed with like having playlists and stuff. Yeah, let me know what you feel. If you like it, if you don't, then whatever. Also, this is out. I showed you this last week. It's out in the book now. I've seen the book. I helped selling it at the festival. I just don't have it myself yet because they were mailing it to me. I should have said I could have picked it up there, but I didn't. So yeah, I signed it. I actually got to sign a book. I have a very short name, ELI. So 2 of the letters are really very thin, small as well. So I made a lot of sheep drawings to make up for it. So some of you have sheep drawings from me, and you still paid for the books. That's pretty, I mean, kind. Anyway, the festival. We're ready to talk about the festival. First of all, I'm gonna kind of talk about the festival and my purchases and the whole thing, the trip, in order of chronology. So I left early in the morning from London. Had to get up before 6. I felt very sorry for myself. Never mind that I used to do that every day. I never liked it. So I got to Gatwick, I checked in my bag, and then someone taps my shoulder. Literally before security. Big old Gatwick. And it's Jimmy of Jimmy Knits, Jimenez. This babe, who is also a designer here in London. She was also going, and I had completely forgotten. I'm sure when she asked me if I was going, I said no, because I wasn't. Then I did, but then I'd forgotten everyone who had told me that they were going, and Jimmy was going, and so we flew together because we were going on the same flight. Could we have found myself before? Yes, sure, but I was planning. Yeah, but it was nice. Having a travel buddy is nice. So we ate food together, and just, yeah, it was good. And I slept through the flight. We had seats different places, so I was not like I was bad company. I was just really tired. And we landed in Oslo. We took the train in, and all I'm seeing everywhere is like posters for the election that happened yesterday, which turned out pretty okay. But there's also an election for like the Church of Norway, which is irrelevant. But on the posters, my friend for like 21 years younger brother is on them, and like I've known him since he was 5, and like he's on the posters all over the country, and I'm finding it very amusing. Anyway, we got to the city and parted ways. I locked in my bags and started wandering about the city, and I met with my lovely friend Christy, who you will remember, who's been on the podcast like 2 years ago, and then she had to move from London to Norway, and she's really having a good time there. She's got a really nice flat that I got to stay in, and just, yeah, we made tacos and watched the last Avengers film. I do love Avengers films. I am like a total like film trash person. I just love blockbusters with superheroes. And it's Chris's job to make me watch the latest Avengers film and all the like associated films. That's what she's always done since she lived in the UK. And she has to keep up that up. So she made me watch that, and it was really good. I liked it. There's a lot of really satisfying things in that film. But anyway, this is not the Skeindeer film and Netflix commentary. This is Ellie talking about knitting. So, next day, I met up with Mina of the Knitting Expat, and I said, let me show you around yarn shops in town. And I'm sure Mina had no idea what she was agreeing to, because we went to 10 yarn shops by foot and a little bit of trains, not that much, mostly by foot. We were pretty done for before the festival. And I'm sure you're thinking, wow, the 10 yarn shops in Oslo, oh my days. No, we made it to like half of them. I don't know how many there are. We went to the best ones, obviously. There were still 6 yarn shops that I have been to myself that we did not go to. Also, just gonna put this in here. I do get a lot of messages from people telling me, oh Ellie, I'm going to Norway soon, could you tell me about some yarn shops in Oslo? And I'm just kind of like, I'm not from Oslo at all. It's like asking someone from Edinburgh about yarn shops in London. It's just not the same place. I'm not from Oslo, but I have been, okay? So I will tell the good yarn shops right now, okay? So, you know, channel the listen very carefully, I will only tell you this once, or whatever. The woman from Allo Allo. Did you watch that? I don't know if you watched that, but I will only tell you this once. So make notes now. No. Oh, I remember Skeindeer talking about Oslo yarn shops once. I'm gonna ask her. No, I'm telling you now. Make notes. Make notes. Okay. Good yarn shops in Oslo. Husfriden in Glassmagasinet. You have to go down the escalator to see the yarn shops. It's important that you go to Husfriden in Glassmagasinet and not the other Husfriden, because that one doesn't have yarn. You want to go to the one with yarn. You want to go to Pickles because Pickles is really different. It doesn't have Norwegian yarn, but it has Pickles yarn. And if you like Pickles, you should go to Pickles. Pickles is in Grünerløkka, and Grünerløkka has lots of other really good yarn shops. My personal favorite is Verbit. It will come up as weathered yarn on Google Maps. So definitely check out Verbit. And very close to Verbit is Grünerløkka Garn. They have a lot of really good yarn. They're very close to a generic Norwegian yarn shop, but they do have some different things as well. Like Lofoten yarn, they will have, I think, BC yarn and some other things. So worth checking out because it's like just across the park. And then there's Oslo Service Center, which is a sewing and knitting shop, which is just down the road. So of course you want to go there as well. So that's just some of those shops in that neighborhood. But there's also Garntopia a bit further out in Helsfyr, and I quite like the yarn shops at the very top floor of the studio center. And there is Kjørven at Majorstua and Frukvist not too far away from Husfriden. So if I'm gonna name my favorites, it would be, no particular order, Verbit, and go to Grünerløkka and Pickles when you're there, Husfriden at Glassmagasinet and Frukvist, and just do all the other yarn shops as well. So now I've given you some favorites once and for all. So what did we do? We went to most of these shops. Not all of them, but most of them. So where did we start? We started off eating in Grünerløkka. There's Godt Brød there, which is good bread, basically. It's a coffee shop with nice bread and buns and everything. So that's a good place to start. We started there and just knitted, and it was nice. And then we went up to Grünerløkka Garn, which we were strong and didn't buy anything, even though they have Lofoten yarn and Garn yarn. And BC Garn, which is also really nice. But we proceeded to Verbit, which is lovely. I do love that shop. It's the only brick and mortar shop in Oslo with hand-dyed yarn, and it's only hand-dyed on ethical yarn and mostly just Norwegian yarn, mostly just from Hillesvåg and Rauma. So you can see why I love this shop. And Nyla, who runs it and is the yarn dyer there, is just super lovely, and it's always really good to see her. I did actually go there a little bit the day before as well, just because I could. This time she was actually just busy packing up for the Oslo Knitting Festival, so we just popped in very quickly to say hi and that we would see her at the show. But yeah, I was there the day before as well, and it was just nice to be back. And it's just fully stocked of amazing things. She also does yarn dyeing classes there. You can just go in and look at where she dyes the yarn, which is just incredible. Also the only place in Oslo for higher needles, that's worth noting. I'm just a fan. And I have made a design in her yarn. I'm going to show you just because this was in her yarn. I did also give her this as a sample for the festival, so I think some of you may have seen it there. I don't know. It's so nice and yellow. I do love a good yellow, as you may be able to tell. So after that we proceeded to the Oslo Service Center, just because it's on the road, and we didn't buy anything, but there's a lot of good selection of yarn there, and they had the new Finull colors. We will be talking about the new Finull colors a lot today, so just brace yourself. Maybe I should do this in 2 parts, I don't know.